In today's video, we're going to be discussing the fallout from the Taylor Hall trade out of New Jersey. Will this just mark the beginning of a mass exodus of pending UFAs to leave the Devils franchise? Plus, have the Toronto Maple Leafs found the next great Russian goalie that they're trying to sign next offseason? We'll discuss that and a whole lot more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of news topics to discuss today. Well, first of all, I want to kick things off with a couple of quick tidbits here. Yesterday, we discussed the possibility of Flyers forward Joel Farabee facing a suspension for that late hit in the last interference call against the Winnipeg Jets the other night against forward Matthew Perreault. The NHL Player Safety Department did announce after that video that he has been given a 3-game suspension. Now, I do acknowledge that the hit was certainly late. It did cause injury, but this is a very young player with no prior history. He's only played 20-some games in the NHL. I was very surprised that he was given 3 games because we've seen other incidents recently where they completely were no suspensions or sometimes not even a penalty call. Then we get a 3-game suspension on Farabee. I thought that was a little bit excessive. I do think he should have been suspended, but as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I figured he'd probably be given 1 game. I mean, he was given a major penalty and was kicked out of that game for the remainder of that game, so he already missed some decent amount of time. You tack on another game, really, to me, that would have been fair. I thought maybe 2 max, but to be given 3 games, I thought was a little bit excessive. But that's just my take on it. If you haven't seen the hit, I'll put a link to it down in the description. You can have a look at the play and see what happened. The hit itself technically would have been clean had Perreault had the puck, or if it wasn't deemed to be a late hit, if he had just released it, not so long before being hit. So ultimately, that was the defense of Joel Farabee, according to the video from Player Safety, that he was trying to deliver a clean hit, which he technically kind of did under certain rules, but he certainly broke the interference rule quite substantially. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that suspension, if you think 3 games was the right call or was it too much. So let me know what you think and we can discuss further down in the comments. Now let's jump over and take a look at a few other tidbits here on some NHL prospects. Now, Rangers prospect Vitaly Kravtsov, who did come over and sign a contract to play in North America this year, ultimately had left and was reassigned back to the KHL. Things were not going well at a training camp. He didn't make the Rangers squad, and he really wasn't even playing down in the AHL level. He wasn't getting ample time on the ice. He had been a healthy scratch, ended up going back to the KHL, and things really continued to spiral downwards. He wasn't getting a lot of playing time and was even put down to their lower level of league play over there as well. And now he's coming back. So I'm not really sure exactly what's changed here for Kravtsov, but clearly the Rangers have indicated that he is going to play at their American Hockey League affiliate in Hartford. I would assume that the Rangers, along with his agent and HL farm system team, have probably had a discussion about maybe how to better utilize him. I guess we'll see. But Kravtsov is returning. We'll see if he can get things back on track for his NHL career, because he was looking like an extremely talented, really high-end prospect before the season began. Now, sticking with some more prospects here, they're going to be heading over to the World Junior Championships. The New York Islanders have announced that they are loaning forward Oliver Wahlstrom to Team USA for the World Juniors coming up starting on Boxing Day, December 26th. So that's a really nice addition for Team USA. Wahlstrom in that tournament before has proven he can be a sniper, and I do think he has a solid NHL career ahead of him. So that's a really nice addition for Team USA, who already have a pretty strong team to begin with. The Islanders also announced that defenseman Noah Dobson would not be loaned to Team Canada. I know Team Canada was anxiously awaiting to hear if he would be able to join them or not, but the team has announced that they just don't feel like they're in a situation where they can let him go. He's proven to be a little bit too valuable right now, and they don't want to take the chance to be without him for an extended period of time. So unfortunately for Team Canada, Noah Dobson will not be joining them. They also found out for sure that the Chicago Blackhawks would not be loaning 2019 top pick Kirby Dach as well. Both of those guys will be remaining with their NHL clubs. Thankfully, Team Canada did get some good news on a few other returning players, including forward Joe Veleno of the Red Wings and Barrett Hayton of the Coyotes. So at least they'll have some more returning players, but not quite as many as they were hoping for. So that tournament will be getting underway December the 26th. I will be covering the tournament quite closely. If you're looking forward for coverage on that tournament, I will be providing lots of videos throughout the course of the tournament, so stay tuned for that. So it looks as though the Toronto Maple Leafs are apparently one of the leading contenders to sign potential free agent KHL goaltender Timur Bilyalov, who's really proven to be a stud goalie over in that league, putting up some incredible statistics. Many reports indicate that the Leafs are very interested, and really right now they're the only team linked to him. Doesn't mean other teams won't jump into the mix here once he's officially able to sign. He is in the last year of his KHL contract with AK Barrett, so he'll be a pending unrestricted free agent. I said he's 24 years old. The stats he's putting up over in the KHL right now are absolutely ridiculous. He recently completed the longest shutout streak in KHL history, which was over 316 minutes long. So far this year in the KHL, he's played in 16 games. He has a goals against average of 1.1, which is absolutely ridiculous. He has a record of 10-1-2, including 6 shutouts, and his save percentage is well over .950. So he looks like he could be a really solid stud, top-notch goaltender. But of course, until he comes over to the NHL and joins that league, it's obviously it's a little different in the KHL. Hard to say for sure. I mean, but at the same time, these stats are a little bit crazy to not give him an opportunity. Apparently, it's been his dream to play over in the NHL. He wasn't sure if it was ever going to come to be, but he apparently is interested in signing and making the jump to North America for next season, should he get the opportunity. So it looks as though Kyle Dubas is trying to take advantage of that. Clearly, with the Maple Leafs goaltending situation the way it is, that would be a major boost to the Leafs organization. Obviously, they have their starter and Freddie Anderson, who just became the fastest European goaltender to hit 200 wins in the NHL, so that's quite the accomplishment. So they have their starter for the foreseeable future, but to have a solid backup goaltender or an heir apparent to Anderson would be a huge boost to them as they move forward, trying to build this team into being a solid, a year after year contender for the playoffs and for potential Stanley Cups. We'll see if the Leafs can get him signed during the offseason for sure, but as we know, we've seen them have good luck with other Russian players. Most recently, Ilya Mikheyev, who's having a pretty decent year for the Leafs right now. They've also got Timur, so they've had good luck with dipping over into KHL free agents in the past. Will it continue, and will it get them a stud goaltender in the process? I guess we'll have to remain to be seen. Now, as I mentioned, we obviously saw the big trade yesterday from Taylor Hall being shipped out of New Jersey over to the Arizona Coyotes. Now, could this mark the beginning of a mass exodus of potential unrestricted free agents out of New Jersey? He's certainly not the only player that it would make sense for the Devils to trade, and there's lots more trade rumors that are surfacing now that we've seen the Hall deal get done. Obviously, last year near the deadline, there was lots of big names that were rumored to be moved and seemed to kind of hold the market up a little bit until they started to come through. Obviously, teams that are looking to trade more, mid-level forwards or defensemen are not really going to get moved until the top dog gets moved, kind of sets the market. And now that we've seen a pretty good haul for the Devils in return for Hall, that certainly is going to set the stage for some potential other deals here to go down. Now, some other players on the Devils that have been already involved in the rumor mill, but you just can know that now Shiro can kind of shift his attention to them, would be forward Wayne Simmons, who signed a one-year contract with New Jersey as a free agent in the offseason. Kind of that one-year prove-it-to-me contract. So we'll see if he could help a team in the playoffs. Obviously, defenseman Sami Vatanen is a prime trade candidate as well. 28 years old, pending unrestricted free agent. He's at that stage of his career where it might not make sense for the Devils to try to sign him longer term. So it'd be, being a trade piece could bring back a good return. He's a solid defenseman. Could very well be a good help to another contending team, especially if somebody wants to upgrade their top 4D. He would be a prime candidate as well. Even defenseman Andy Green, team captain, he's got all kinds of experience back there. Not necessarily going to be, a top pair guy by any means, but certainly could be somebody who can play as a depth player or a third pair guy. Could certainly add a lot of experience to that back end. Very well could be an attractive option. And another piece that might be even interesting as well would be Kyle Palmieri. I mean, he's already 28 years old. It seems like he hasn't been around that long, but at the same time, he's had a lot of productive years in New Jersey and very well could prove to be another guy that's debatable whether or not he sticks around in New Jersey. Does it make sense for them to try to sign him longer term? He certainly could fetch a pretty good contract next season as a pending UFA. And it's debatable whether or not he signs and stays or whether or not it makes sense for the Devils to do so. Now, the last name I'm going to mention on New Jersey that probably makes sense for them to trade would be PK Subban, but I think this is going to be a difficult deal. When they brought him in from Nashville, they did not have the Predators retain any salary. The Devils had lots of cap space at the time and certainly got away with a fairly small package going back to the Predators in return for taking the full contract off of their hands. But now he's struggling. He's not really playing up to par, which really can be said for most of the team at this point. But he's got $9 million for a couple more years after this one. That's going to prove to be a very difficult contract to trade without retaining salary. Now, they retained on Taylor Hall, but that's a little bit different where it's only for the remainder of this year. He's not going to want to handcuff his whole salary cap situation here for the next couple of years as he continues to try to rebuild this team moving forward. But I do think it makes sense in a way for PK to be traded. I'm not really sure he's fit there, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy where the other guys are all pending unrestricted free agents who very well could be a rental player for any other contenders heading into the playoffs. Now, Ray Shero held a press conference earlier today discussing the Taylor Hall trade. And one thing that I found a little bit odd is he kept reiterating the fact that Taylor Hall did not request to be traded. I've never really heard any rumors suggesting that he did, although it would make sense if he did. I mean, ultimately, things were not going well, and he made it clear that he likely wasn't going to be signing in season there. But Ray Shero also made it known that this was not like a rebuild 2.0 type of deal, that the rebuild process already started when he first came in, and that they're not really looking to do that right now. But at the same time, all of their core pieces are getting pretty young, minus the guys that I already mentioned here as trade bait. And does it really make sense to take a 28 to 30-year-old player and extend them for 5 to 8 years on a team that's really, near the bottom of the standings and a long ways away, in my opinion, from really turning things around to be in a solid playoff contender? It clearly doesn't, and I'm guessing that a lot of these guys probably will be moved, just a matter of to who and for what. But I think the Devils and Ray Shero are going to be a very active team as we approach the NHL trade deadline. It only makes sense for them to continue to kind of live near the bottom of the standings. Maybe the luck they've had with the ping pong balls in the NHL draft lottery will continue to follow them around. Maybe they'll get another really high pick, whether it be 1, 2, or 3. They're all really top-notch prospects at that level. They can grab a solid player and kind of move forth from there. And of course, now they also have the Arizona Coyotes first-round pick, and they could very well add others as they move some of these other, pretty decent assets out of their organization in return for future assets. So let me know what you think the Devils are going to do here. Are they going to be moving a lot of these other pending UFAs? There's all kinds of talk around the NHL that it only makes sense for them to do so. And now that Ray Shero's moved his prize asset in Taylor Hall, he can shift his attention to other members of the team and either sign them or trade them before the NHL deadline. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.